The Talking Heads were a sort of enigma that embodied the style that was the late 70s and early 80s. As we all know, at this time, disco was dying out, rock was coming into play. The Talking Heads, in a sense, utilized this era of change to make their own style of music. So all of the members of this band, other than one, went to the same art school together, and they used this bonding experience and the art around them to create their own style, which is art funk. They also utilized rock, a little bit of rock with their guitar music, pop and Afro style dance beats to manipulate the rhythm of the music that they ended up playing. The song Letting the Days Go By is very well known as a song that is embodying social expectations. And by this, the artist, Byrne, is referring to how we get from point A to point Z, which is school, work, out of school, marriage, work, retirement, death. It's something that we are all seemingly striving for in this world where you wake up every day, you do your 8 to 5, you come home to your wife and kids, and that's it. He is referencing the sort of autopilot and half-awake nature that it takes for a person to get from being excited about life and living it by the seat of their pants, essentially, to just being okay with repetition. He didn't like that. The band didn't like that. They did not live their life like this. However, he was married, though. So his idea of these social expectations, he did, in a sense, live in these expectations, but he wanted to use them and speak of them as being ill-natured just to get a point across, essentially. He uses his twitchy persona, which seems to be brought up in almost any interview or anything written about this band. He is very twitchy and uncomfortable, and he uses very anxious lyrics. And the music video itself, if you were to watch it, you can see him being incredibly uncomfortable with his own body, seemingly, and he doesn't really, he's just, the repetition of the music is supposed to embody that autopilot or half-awake nature, though it seems as in the music video he's trying to break out of this in a sense, as his body is a shell, and so he is very movie and fluid and shakes his head a lot and seems to be very uncomfortable. To come up with the lyrics for this, which the lyrics again are very repetitive, they are constantly saying letting the days go by, and you find yourself waking up in this beautiful house with a beautiful wife and wondering how I got here. Well, apparently he needed 2 months to come up with these lyrics, though it seemed that they were still improvised. It was written that in an interview he told his fellow bandmates that he needed to go away for an extended period of time to come up with lyrics to the unusual bass and rhythmic style of this song that they were coming up with. And so they let him do this, and he came back, and yet he still needed to improvise some of these lines because he knew that the point of this song was to be about essentially bashing social expectations and the autopilot nature that everyone seems to be in anymore with their work and home life. So he still improvised these lines, and it worked out for them. This song is still one of the top 100 most influential rock pop songs to come out of this time, and it's still very regularly referenced. So clearly this had to have worked out for him at some point in time. However, the hypocritical nature of bashing this social expectation style of music did land them in a little bit of hot water, as people don't like when things go outside of the norm, which is kind of exactly his point with this, but he still managed to meet some of these social expectations with himself. So the whole purpose of the song was to make people uncomfortable and realize that what they're doing is not special. What you're doing, if you follow these specific boundaries and guidelines that seem to be laid out for us at birth almost, or within each of our little social constructs. Could be in the United States, Europe, Asia, however it is. If you follow these, you are on autopilot. You are not making differentiating moves to make yourself, to set yourself apart from the next person. So people don't like to hear that. And he did a wonderful job of getting that across to the public. So we need to give that song a listen and maybe think a little bit deeper into it and ask ourselves, are we on autopilot with our lives? And if so, are we okay with this? Or should we make some changes just to make ourselves better and see how we grow as people?